on this computer. All right. Well, welcome everybody to Golden Alchemy Meditation YouTube channel, or you're seeing this because you're on my newsletter or in one of my Facebook groups, something like that. I'm just so glad that you are here watching us today. And I'd like to introduce you to the wonderful and fabulous Kim Hess.
Hi, Al.
So,
So happy to be here.
so Kim and I have a really fun meet cute of how we met. And both of us are longtime meditators, and we both use this called Insight Timer. And it's a free app. If you want it to be free, then there's benefits if you do the paid version. And we started chatting on there, and that's how we met. And pretty soon we met up for a glass of wine. And then pretty soon we were on the phone chatting with each other. So you can meet like-minded people anywhere. It's amazing how just a simple meditation app can make the connections that you need to make. So I just wanted to share that with everybody because it's a really fun meet cute. So anyways, today we are going to learn more about Miss Kim. She's had an adventurous life, and I think it's adventurous because it's something that I've always wanted to do, really, but I've never done it. So we are just going to learn all about her and how meditation has impacted her life and all that kind of fun stuff. So, in a sense, just tell us a little bit about yourself, Kim.
That's like opening up Pandora's box, isn't it? It's like, where do I start? It's so funny to hear people say, you've led such an adventurous life. And I'm just like going, I haven't done so many things and I want to do all these things and stuff. But when I step back and look at it through the eyes of someone else, I'm like, I've done an awful lot. Yeah. And so, where do I start? You want me to focus more on my meditation life or my adventurous life, or all of it combined?
Well, I think it would be fun to tell people your love of two worlds.
Okay, perfect. So, the two worlds she is talking about and is yoga / meditation. And my other passion is sailing and living that cruising lifestyle, if you will, living on board. We'll touch into that real quick. I've been sailing since the late 80s. I fell in love with big boats and living on board 25, 30 years ago. And eventually in 2009, I bought my own boat, a 41-foot Morgan Classic, and got my captain's license, and I lived on that. And I have captain charters a few different summers with the Boy Scouts in Islamorada, which is an adventure in and of itself. Just working with the Boy Scouts for 12 weeks at a time, different crew every week. It is amazing and gratifying and confidence building, I will say.
Yeah.
And so that's that sailing part of my life. And I actually have written a book called Yoga Onboard that teaches people. I got really tired of hearing people say, well, I live on a boat and I can't do yoga. I'm like, wait, I live on a boat and I do yoga every day on my boat. And so I wrote the book and have a DVD out, which is kind of obsolete now, but I need to get it digitized. And I started writing a healthy cruising column and kind of was a pioneer in bringing health on board for the people that live aboard stuff. And now I'm so happy to see that there's so much information out there and resources for cruisers to stay healthy, because you have to modify some things and stuff. So that's kind of part of my life. I incorporate it all. And I started practicing teaching and studying yoga all at the same time because I had been in the fitness industry prior in the 90s. And I was living in Mexico at the time. And someone asked me, can you teach yoga classes? Because there's people asking for yoga classes. I'm like, sure, why not? It's like, I
Yeah.
had never done, never even looked at a book, but for some reason I had a yoga book with me. And so I literally started teaching by flipping pages. I'd have 10 to 20 people in my palapa every morning, and we just flip pages. And I did that, just studying books. Even after I came back to the States, I bought more books and studied and was teaching. And that started in 2000, January of
Mhm.
2000, 25 years this month.
Wow.
And then in 2003, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need some formal training. And so that's
Yeah.
when I did my 200-hour teacher training. And my teacher training really emphasized the 8 limbs, incorporating meditation and breath work. It wasn't just about the asana. It was
Mhm.
an amazing training that really emphasize yoga as a whole, not just the physical practice. So I'm so grateful for that. And that is really when I officially started meditating. I do have a funny story. Back in the late 90s, I was working for a transformational training company at the time here in Boise, Idaho. And some of the staff members and facilitators, we decided that we were going to start meditating together on our
I
lunch
like it.
hour. So I didn't have any training. I didn't know. It's just like, and we didn't have any instruction. We just went into the training room and we sat, and for 20 minutes, we set a timer. It was the most miserable time of my life. I would sit there. I was uncomfortable. I was fidgety. We were sitting on the floor. I had to lean back against the thing. I was like, when is this going to be over? It was the worst,
That is
the
the
worst.
worst.
And I know that there's so many people out there that have that same experience. It's like, I didn't
Yeah.
know what to do with that monkey mind. And it was just
Yeah.
going rampant. So I'm just like, forget this, man. I forget this meditation stuff. So I was very resistant to it
Mhm.
even after my training. But one thing I did learn, that the asana practice, the physical practice of yoga, was only created so the yogis could sit in meditation comfortably.
Mhm.
So with that
Indeed.
little tidbit, I would get on my mat. I was practicing every day because I was teaching. By this time, I was teaching full time in Miami Beach. And after an hour and a half practice on my mat, my mind was in a space enough where I could come out of Shavasana, sit up, and sit.
Yes, sit in the silence because all of the energy, all of the movement, everything it came out of the body.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And
I
my
love
body,
it.
so that's really when I started a formal practice, was
Okay.
just like I practice. Sometimes it was very short and it lengthened. And then I kind of got away from it. I was still on my mat every day.
Yeah.
And and in 2013, I was running a restaurant with my now ex-husband in the Keys. And I was going insane. I'm like, I got to get back on my mat. I need to start
Mhm.
meditating. Started using the Calm app
Yeah.
because my mind was crazy, that I
Yeah.
needed that guided meditation. I needed
Mhm.
that guided support.
Mhm.
So I started with that, and I did that for years. Just a
Yeah.
10-minute, the daily meditation. I highly recommend that app as well. And it wasn't until like 5 years later that I switched over to the Insight Timer app and was able to just sit with
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. I I love that you just said that I was able to just sit with myself, because I feel like as humans, we're not really taught to sit with ourselves. We're not taught to build a relationship with ourselves. And it's almost like when you have that moment to sit with yourself, it's like sitting with a stranger. You're kind of uncomfortable. It's like, okay, what am I? Ah. Like I'll hear people say, I get anxious when I meditate. And it's like, that's because you've never really sat with yourself. You don't know who you are. Like you haven't peeled back those layers to see what your heart truly desires. You might have things that you think you want and that you think you desire because your family, society, friends, they're all doing that same thing. But when you sit down with yourself and you actually take that time to go, who am I? Who am I? And just sitting in that space and letting all the exterior melt away, you'll find that you want something totally different than what you think you want. Like what you think and you have been going after and dedicated your life to. And now all of a sudden you're like, well, geez, I guess I'm going to throw a wrench in everything because that's not really what I want.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
amazing when you take that time to sit with yourself, everything that you can accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah. You
So,
just said something you just said reminded me of one of my favorite quotes that I fell in love with this in high school, if you can believe this. And it's not really a quote, it's a story, but
yeah,
little
yeah.
antidote. And it is the story of the old cat and the kitten. You may have heard this story.
Tell
And the
me.
kitten's running around in circles, chasing its tail, chasing its tail. And the old wise cat come up and says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Well, I was told that happiness lies in my tail, so I'm going to get it." So he's chasing it, chasing it, chasing it. And the old wise cat said, "No, if you just stop and go about your business, it's going to follow you anywhere. It's
Yes,
always."
absolutely. Oh, I love that
I,
story.
I,
I haven't heard that story. I like that one. I'm going to remember
I
that. That's a really neat story. Yeah.
that's
It's just
kind
something to
of
prove a
what's,
point.
yeah, yeah. When you
Yeah.
sit, you stop chasing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
You just stop
yeah.
chasing and just sit and allow things to come to you. I think a big part of that is allowing yourself to receive. We are taught to give, and I think giving's great. I think giving's wonderful. But we haven't necessarily been taught to receive. And when we sit and we calm ourselves down and quit chasing and being in the hustle and the bustle of everything, things kind of just come to us. I mean, they'll almost seemingly sometimes they fall in your lap. It's like, okay, that was interesting. I worked for that forever and now I just sit and here it is.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. So in your life, like what I find that a lot of people that have taken a serious spiritual journey or they have somehow come to meditation or yoga or something like that, I find that oftentimes they have something in their life that really kind of brought them to their knees or really disrupted their life and they were trying to get some peace or something. Like, would you be willing to share something, a nugget that happened in your life?
Right. Certainly. I mentioned that in 2013, I kind of came back to the practice because I needed some peace. I was 3 years into what I didn't find out until 2018 was an abusive relationship, mentally, emotionally abusive relationship. I was stressed because of the owning the restaurant and doing everything myself. Um, I needed a place of peace, and that
Mm.
able to sit on my mat, it's like coming home.
Yeah.
It was a place for me. It was a place that I could go. And that was the one time, like when I would get on my mat to do yoga during this relationship, he would say things to me like, "Oh, so you'd rather do yoga than spend time with me?"
Oh,
Even when I
jeez.
practiced things like that. But when I would meditate and I would go off, that was the only time he'd leave me alone. And maybe it
Yeah.
was because it was minutes, or maybe it was because I did it before he was awake. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah.
But it became my refuge and my safe place. And now it's like if I for whatever reason, which isn't often, have to go without meditating, because this is one of my non-negotiables. I
Mine
I
too.
can I'll miss my physical practice
Yeah.
for whatever reason, travel or whatever, but I will not miss a meditation practice. Even if I'm sitting in the airport, it is a non-negotiable. Which it isn't like I meditate in the airport. Sometimes I do, but because I've stacked the meditation onto my morning routine. It's like I
Yeah.
don't start my meditation.
Mhm.
It'd be like going about my day without brushing my teeth or washing
Yeah.
my face or taking it. It's just
Yeah.
it's part of the cleansing process that allows me to start my day.
I think
So
that's so
so
beautiful. I do that too. My teacher calls it rise, he, meditate, RPM.
yeah, there you go. There you go. But yeah, and so it really became a refuge in that place of abuse for me.
Yeah. 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 That is awesome. I love that you were able to find that peace for yourself. Do you feel like that it gave you more strength too?
Most definitely. And
Yeah.
maybe not in the moment, but afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like in fact, I was a hot mess because of this situation.
Yeah.
And but I always knew there was that safe spot. That was my only safe
Yeah.
spot, really.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's
yeah,
amazing.
and now it definitely gives me strength. And I
Yeah.
think that's why it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you have it, like once you have built that practice and it is a non-negotiable, it changes for you. Just like you said, it's like it would be like skipping brushing your teeth or, you know, not curling your hair, putting on lipstick, whatever it is that your routine is, for the day, shaving, whatever. It's like when you go without it, it doesn't feel right. I mean, I haven't skipped meditation in I don't know how long. I mean, I don't even remember. Even if it's just 5 minutes, if it's that really early morning, it's like, no, I need to just go and sit for a moment. I need to just be in peace for a moment before I start my day, before I go and get where I need to go. And that's been a game changer for me. So I'm so glad that you feel the same about it. So let's see. So we know it's a daily practice. What is your ritual like for myself, like 4 days out of the week, I will actually pull an oracle card and I pull them from different decks, and I'll read my gratitude journal and I'll do that before I go into my meditation because sometimes there's something that happens within those oracles that is just so in line with where I'm at. I can just bring it into my heart during meditation. Sometimes I light a candle or some smudge or incense, stuff like that, just to kind of ritualize my practice even more. So, what do you do for your practice?
That's a wonderful question. I do my journaling in the morning or beforehand, and that looks different. I mean, that my journaling evolves all the time. Sometimes it's gratitude, sometimes it's like what's going on in my life. This morning it was processing
Mm-hmm.
something that last night I mean, it's a long story. I'm not going to get into it,
Yeah.
but it was really needed to process something. And so I just got it all out, got it all out, got it all out. And I do pull cards sometimes. It isn't a regular thing. Sometimes it's every day. Sometimes it's like it's been a couple of months since I pulled a card right
Mm-hmm.
now. that is different. And I've got several different decks, and I just trust my intuition which deck to pull from. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's there sometimes. I always grab an essential oil
Mm-hmm.
and use that. And I usually roll it around in the palm of my hand, rub it here, take some deep breaths and rub it on my face. And usually my go-to is frankincense, the king of all oils. And it's very grounding. And the reason I use the essential oils is it's by inhaling it through the nose, it goes directly to the limbic system, that emotional part of the brain. So it starts to activate the brain into that meditative state.
Mm.
Um, so I always use my oil. I have a selenite stick that I kind of
Wipe
use
your energy
around
with.
me,
Yeah.
which I just re-upped its energy with the full moon on Monday night. Super exciting. And it's interesting how you can really feel that shift in that and
Oh
these
yeah.
selenites. And so currently, how I start when I begin, I go inside. I have um, a Mudras sequence, if you
Yeah.
will,
Yeah.
and do that meditation, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
And I do that, and then I settle in, and I usually have a mudra that I work with, either just the connection mudra or right
Will you show the
this week
connection
I'm working
mudra? Will you show the connection mudra in your, just move it up. There you go. Yes.
resting your hand so the tips of the thumbs rest, and then it rests in your lap. And
Very
this week,
nice.
I'm actually in the Usha's mudra, which is the two fingertips touch. And it's just you're holding it open like this.
Mm-hmm.
And each affects the flow of the prana, or the energy movement. So each one is different. So like the
Mm-hmm.
Usha's mudra that I did this week is for deep relaxation. This mudra
Mm.
on a downward into the second or first and second chakras, and it
Mm-hmm.
creates this. I'm so in tune now. The minute I did this, and just after the first breath, it just felt like I had been drugged. It's like my whole body
Yeah.
just, oh, it's so
Deep
relaxing. So
relaxation.
I usually use a mudra of some sort,
Mm-hmm.
and I start once I settle in. I have like my own guided meditation that I
Yeah.
do. And the first thing I say to myself is, there is no time, there is no space, there's only here and now. How am I feeling? And this
Mm-hmm.
kicks off a body. I go through my body and I acknowledge any tense areas and try to relax that. If there's a tense area like in my low back or neck that I can't just like breathe into and relax, I'll ask, what's going on? What's going
Yeah.
on here? So I really ask the questions, asking my body what's going on. And then I sit for a while after the body scan. And um, depending on the length of time, sometimes I'll go right into some chakra affirmations. I have
Mm-hmm.
created affirmations that I resonate with for each
Mm-hmm.
chakra, and all the way through them. Sometimes I do that right away and then have some silent time after. Sometimes I start
Mm-hmm.
them, and I go off on one
Yeah.
chakra or another, a deep dive into one chakra, and it's all just different.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm currently working with. I have done in the past, I've used the mala beads
Mm-hmm.
for practice for time, chanting for periods of time. And yeah, so
Yeah, I
that's
love
my
that. One of the things that I love so much about it is it really highlights how meditation is so individual, and each one of our journeys with how we meditate is so individual. There's really not an official right or an official wrong way to hold your space and hold your practice. And I'm glad you mentioned essential oils too. I actually smell frankincense every morning too. It's one of the
Yeah.
first things I do. My dog doesn't like the smell of it, so when I open it, she gives me a weird look. But it's okay. I'm not getting it near you, you know. And I give it as some nice deep breaths. But much like you, it changes a lot. Sometimes I'll work on my chakras and chant, the chakra sounds. Sometimes I'll do that. If I feel one area that's particularly stuck, I'll really focus, on that energy, in that energy. Or on the other side of that, when I feel, sometimes I'll sit down to meditate and I'll just feel one of my chakras like on, and I'll be like, what's happening? What do I need to know? Help me understand why there's so much energy here right now. And so it's a moving, living, breathing thing that we do. And it's not this, I'm going to eat pancakes at 7:01 for the rest of my life, in the morning. Like, I'm not going to do that. It's a living, breathing practice that grows with you.
Yeah.
It just, as you change, your practice changes, and as things happen, something shifts. So I love that you brought all of that stuff in. And I also just wanted to share with everybody that uh, Kim also is extremely knowledgeable about essential oils, and she has her own doTERRA business with essential oils. And I actually, you and only one other person that I knew a long time ago are two of the doTERRA people, essential oil people in general, that I've ever met that know as much as you know. And I
Oh,
find that to be very authentic, because you love it and you're truly spreading the wisdom of it out there, which, like, I love that everybody has their gig and they're doing what they're passionate about. But for me, I really like it when I meet somebody and they really know their stuff. How did you get into that?
that, well, I've used essential oils like when my kids were young. I used lavender and tea tree for cuts and scrapes
Yeah.
and stuff forever. And when at one point, my ex-husband and I moved into an RV, and we had three large birds. We had two macaws and a cockatoo.
Wow.
And it's, in retrospect, well, let me see. So when we moved into the RV, I know how sensitive the birds' respiratory systems are. And at the time, I was using Fabuloso to clean with. And in that small of a space, I'm like, this is not going to be good for those birds in this small space. So I
Yeah.
researched safe cleaning products for birds, came up with the essential oils, and specifically a product from doTERRA. And I don't know why, in retrospect, I wasn't concerned about our health using those products, but
It was all about
that's
the birds.
all about the birds. So I kind of switched there. So I got a little bit more serious. This was like 2017.
Yeah.
And I got a little bit more into it.
Yeah.
And then yoga instructor, and always looking for new ways, new income streams to add to my
Yeah.
business plan. I decided I was going to start working with essential oils. And actually, when I started with the birds, when we moved in the RV, it was with a different company,
Mm-hmm.
and out to that company multiple times saying, I want to sell these products. Never heard back.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I kind of started researching doTERRA and this other company, and really
Yeah.
everything I researched about doTERRA, the company itself, it's a mission-driven company. It is a wellness company powered by essential oils, which I love
Mm-hmm.
because their supplements
Yeah.
are amazing. And I knew a friend of mine worked with doTERRA, and so I
Mm-hmm.
contacted her and said, are you working the business? And she said, yes. And I said, I want to work the business. Can I come in with you? And she's like,
Yeah.
sure. And
Why
so
not?
When my your training and support, because I know nothing about
Yeah.
how to do this business. There's so much you're not gonna be able to finish it all. And she was right. It's like I have so much training, so much mentorships. It's just absolutely amazing, not just from doTERRA, the company, because they're phenomenal. Sometimes joke that they're a personal development company with an oil problem
Yeah.
because they're all about wellness and personal growth with their advocates and their customers.
Yeah.
And and that was almost 5 years ago. So, and I just am so passionate about each and every oil and the supplements and what it does for our health. And we are
Yeah.
looking to revolutionize the healthcare system because our healthcare system is
It's
for
messed up.
sure.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's a messed up system. I love all of this. And so you will provide us, is your book still for sale?
It is. I only have a few hard copies left, and I'm not going to reprint. But I do have some here, the yoga on board, and I do have digital copies that I
Okay,
need to
so
get.
make sure you give us the information that we can put on the video too, just so you never know. If somebody is living on their boat, they might want a yoga book.
Yeah.
So that would be
Or
awesome. And then lastly, before we finish out our visit, would you be so gracious to lead us in a short meditation?
I would absolutely love to. And I'm going to take this opportunity to lead you to do my mudra invocation, my in and out, if you will.
Okay.
I'm going to drop my camera down so you can see my hands while I do the
Okay.
mudra part. And um, and then we can go into closed eyes just so everybody can see what it looks like because it's actually very beautiful. All right, so I'm
Okay.
going to move this here. All right. So, dwelling in the self, I am a seed. Pulled towards the world, I separate from me. Expanding, I experience various aspects of life. Now I withdraw my mind from the flow of the world and offer my life to thee, so that you may flow through me, revealing the realities of birth and death. I empty myself to be filled by thee. I relinquish the world and take refuge in thee. You guide the way, offering strength and support. I shut out the noise of the world so I may hear thy voice. You protect me and dispel my fears. Illusion falls away. So
That was beautiful.
Going ahead and closing the eyes. Just allow your attention to fall on your breath. Just notice the movement of the body created by the breath. Just take a moment to notice what you notice. Just allowing yourself to be the observer of the observer. Taking it a step further back. Knowing that there is no time, that space is only here and now. You are here for a reason with us today. So just allow yourself to be. Just noticing what's happening in the body, scanning from the top of the head down through the facial muscles, allowing the facial muscles to relax. And the neck and shoulders, arms and hands. And the chest and belly, the back, and the hips, the legs and feet. Just noticing if there's any areas that need some special attention. Bring your attention back to the breath. Allow in your mind's eye to settle in your heart center. And without forcing anything, just allow that mind's eye to play like projecting on a movie screen. Things that pop into your mind that you're grateful for in this moment. So just allow them to play. Don't try to hold on to them. Just allow them to play like you're watching a movie, just seeing everything you're grateful for play up on that screen. You notice they may be fleeting or moving quickly, or some images may stick around for a while. Just don't be attached to holding on to them. Just allow them to be. Just notice a smile come upon your lips as you feel this gratitude. Just feel that heart center almost glowing as it spreads out through the torso, the arms, all the way to the fingertips and the legs to the toes. Just feeling that energy of gratitude and knowing that living with this energy, holding on to that energy without holding on to it, just living with it, being gratitude, changes everything. Taking a nice deep breath in, exhaling completely. When you're ready, gently opening your eyes.
Namaste.
Have my visitor come to join us. So
Look
proud
who
of him.
joined us. Cutie.
Yeah,
You know, I kept feeling energetic healing during that meditation. That's the words that just popped into my head while I was thinking gratitude. I just felt like the words popped in energetic healing.
beautiful.
So, yeah, yeah. I love your mudra um, session. I would love, if you're open, if you could film that slowly with your words and stick it in our group.
I would love to do. I've been wanting to do that, or keep telling myself like almost every day, I've got to film this. I've got to teach this. And yes, I will love
I
to
would
do
love
that.
that. Yeah, that would be amazing if you'd stick it in that group. That would be amazing. So, oh, thank you, everybody. Whoever's watching this at whatever time, um, I hope you feel that this came to you at the moment that you needed it and that you have enjoyed getting to know Kim and myself a little bit more. My name is Brandy Wolf. I'm a certified meditation teacher. I've been meditating for decades. Through crisis, I became the lotus coming out of the mud. Became a certified teacher in 2021. And in 2023, I actually went back for the advanced program too. So I am continuing that education. I'm excited just to dive in and do another advanced training. So I'm also an author. I have a couple of books, Meditation for the Modern Mind and The Art of Positive Affirmations and Mantras. And I have another one coming here soon, and it is a meditation workbook, a 40-day meditation workbook. So all those links will be below. Thank you so much for watching. Please connect with myself. Please connect with Kim. You will not be sorry. She has been a bright light in my life since I've met her. And I always think of her with just such positivity and warmth. So I know that you will too. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.